Hello friends, and welcome to your Friday and weekend tarot energy forecast with me, Intuitive Rene. We are doing the date of the 11th to the 13th of October 2024, and I've decided that today I want to use these decks. These are minis, so you can see it says mini edition there, and somewhere it says okay, pocket oracle. So these are tiny in comparison to the full size, and I haven't used these little minis for a while, so I thought I would include one of those. Before we get started with the general reading, I just wanted to have a little chat. So you've probably heard me mention a few times in my readings that I reference the readings that I've done during the last couple of days and the kind of energies that are coming through. Well, this week, because obviously I'm recording this Friday morning, this week, the theme, if I can call it that, the theme amongst the readings that I've done has been the theme of dealing with childhood trauma. We all have it. Okay, it doesn't matter whether, like, we often think that we can't label it as childhood trauma if we didn't have disastrous, awful, big things. And that's not true. Anytime as a child growing up, anytime you felt unloved, anytime you felt insignificant, anytime you felt ignored, not seen, anything like that, that is childhood trauma. Because as a small child, you are looking at the adults around you, looking at the people around you, looking for that unconditional love, that support and that acknowledgement that we also desperately need. And if you didn't get it, for whatever reason, whether it is because you had abusive parents, whether it is because circumstances were really difficult, it doesn't really matter. Childhood trauma is still childhood trauma. And this week I've had clients who've had some really, really hectic childhood trauma to deal with. But then I've also had a couple of clients who, in our interactions and the messages that have come through from Spirit, the message that's come through is to acknowledge that they do carry childhood trauma, even though there was no abuse, even though there was no physical trauma, even though there was really nothing like tangible that we can pinpoint, that there is still emotional, psychological childhood trauma. So the reason why I'm bringing this up to us today is because I feel like we all need to acknowledge the childhood trauma that we have, that we carry within us. And I can promise you, every single one of you have it. Every single one. I'm not trying to take away from those people who have had massive childhood trauma, physical, emotional, psychological, sexual childhood. I'm not trying to take away from them, not at all. But it's the rest of us that haven't had those experiences who feel like we can't talk about childhood trauma because we don't have any, when actually we do have. How many of us have been bullied as children at school? That's childhood trauma. How many of us have been bullied by siblings? How many of us have gone to our parents with an ache and a pain and a problem and a sadness and an overwhelm, and your parents have said to you, walk it off, That's all childhood trauma. So we need to acknowledge that we all carry childhood trauma and we need to do something about it. What can we do? So there's 1,000,000,000 things that we can do. First of all, there is therapy. Therapy is always first prize. Therapy is always amazing because it just helps you to put it into context, especially once you're an adult doing childhood trauma. Because when you look at yourself as a small child, when you, as an adult, you look at yourself as a small child, suddenly your perspective on the situation changes, and suddenly your reaction therefore changes as well. So therapy is always first prize, right? So that's just that. The second thing that you could always do is to just write your child, the child version of yourself, a letter where you mention and talk about the memories that you have, and the things that you felt then and how you feel about it now. Because again, writing is incredibly therapeutic, incredibly therapeutic. So there are many other ways. There are many other ways. You've got to find a way that works for you. I just want to highlight and bring to all of our attention that we need to be mindful of the childhood trauma that we may be carrying, and that we need to do something about it. All right. I'm sending you all much love. Shall we get into, actually, before we do that, let me just make another short announcement. So every year, October, November, December, I record year ahead readings, personal readings for people. these readings are typically anything from an hour to an hour and a half long. I record them as a video like this. I have all the cards on the table. Sometimes they see my face, sometimes they don't, depending on how many cards I need to lay out. And you get it as a private YouTube video, which means that only you can access it, and you access it forever, okay? And this particular video reading covers detailed insight into every single month of the year. We do an overview of the year. We then get into the nitty-gritty of every single month in different aspects of your life. So we'll look at career, we'll look at health and wellness, all of those things per month. So everybody who orders these year ahead readings from me, they always get first option to reorder. And they've had first option now for the whole month of October already, and I've had lots of orders come through. I'm obviously very limited as to how many of these readings I can take on. So as it stands currently, there are a few slots available, not many, a few slots available, and I will be releasing this publicly for orders probably Monday or Tuesday next week. So if this is something that you would be interested in, please do watch all my socials for the announcement of that. There is a form that you need to fill in. There's information that explains exactly how it all works, but I just thought I would give you advance notice that if this is something that you've been waiting for and something that you're excited about ordering for yourself this year, yeah, that orders will be opening on Monday, Tuesday. And as I say, I am very limited. Probably at this stage, I can probably take in another 6 readings, and that's it. And then I'm at capacity and I can't do anymore, because as I say, all of those people who ordered last year, they get first dibs, they get first option on ordering. So if that is the kind of reading that you would be interested in, please watch my socials on Monday and or Tuesday. Okay, I'm not quite sure yet when it'll be released, but it'll be early in the new week that I will release that for bookings. All right. So I have 3 decks in front of me. We're going to start. I actually want to put that one up there because I'm going to use that one later. I want to start with Angels and Oracles. Now you're going to see that I haven't even taken the cards out of the box as yet. So we're going to take the cards out of the box. So Angels and Ancestors, right? Beautiful, beautiful deck. I've got the full size and I've got the mini of this one. And basically, as I'm shuffling this deck, I'm asking Spirit to help us. We're looking at Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11, 12, and 13 of October 2024. We're asking Spirit to give us a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of guidance as to what is this next 3 days, what do we need to be focusing on? What do we need to be mindful of? Where does our attention need to be over the next 3 days? What are the energies doing? What's happening in the cosmos? What is going on that we need to be mindful of over the next 3 days? So Angels and Ancestors, what is an appropriate message that you have for us all today for covering Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, please? Okay. And taking a card off the top. So let's have a look and see which card we have. We have the Hunter. Well, first of all, isn't this artwork just amazing? And it says, track down your fears and your desires. Now, doesn't that tie in quite nicely with what I was saying about, doing our childhood trauma kind of thing? So look at him. Look how brave he is. Look how confident he is. Look how capable he is. He is so strong, and he's got this air of confidence about him. He certainly doesn't look afraid. He's wearing a necklace. He's got antlers, he's got horns, he's also got a little head over there. He's got bones and teeth and skulls and whatever else. These are all showing the things that he's already accomplished, because he is an accomplished person. He is somebody who is confident and capable of doing whatever it is that he needs to do. The message of track down your fears and your desires. Right, I'm going to leave him there for a second while I start shuffling the Tarot of Oneness. So track down your fears and your desires. Now, it's interesting that fears and desires are discussed together. That fears and desires are, put into the same sentence, because you might wonder, well, why would they do that? Because fears and desires are surely opposite. Your fears are obviously the things that you're afraid of, and your desires are the things that you want. Fears are things we don't want, and desires are the things we do want. But it's quite interesting that often your fears and your desires are actually connected, because the thing that we fear the most, we fear not having the thing that we desire the most. Okay, so fears and desires can actually be very, very connected. And when we start looking at our fears and we start uncovering our fears, that actually helps us to understand our desires, because as I say, they are often very much connected, and often the one is because of the other. Okay. So from Tarot of Oneness, right? So we need to, sorry, let me go back there. We need to track down our fears and our desires. We need to track down our fears and our desires, because if we don't know what it is that we fear the most, if we don't know what it is that we are most afraid of, and if we don't know what it is that we desire the most, if we don't know what our fears and desires are, we can't actually be happy and successful. You know, and this is the thing, we all go through life, and sometimes, you know, one day flows into the next and into the next and into the next, and before we know it, 3 years have passed, and we look at our lives and go, well, what have we achieved? Who am I? What have I accomplished? And the answer is nothing. Nobody and nothing. And that is because we don't know what our fears and our desires are. We don't actually know what it is that we're, number one, trying to avoid, or what we're working towards. So we all need to become more mindful of our fears and our desires, so that, and hunt them down, like truly, truly hunt them down, so that we can work towards the things that we actually need to work towards. All right, Tarot of Oneness is very well shuffled at this stage, while we were talking about Hunter and tracking down our fears and our desires. So we've set all those intentions. Cut the deck. Right, first card we have is the Eight of Wands, which is, we're on the road, we're tracking. We also have the enchantment of, am I reading it right? Embodiment. Oh my gosh, I can't read. And I am wearing glasses. Embodiment of Cups. We have the Synchronicity card. I love that. And finally, we have, I need to read it this way, the Seven of Pentacles. This is what happens when you choose the mini cards. And the mini cards come through, and they are so cute and so lovely, but we can't necessarily read what they're saying. Old age, friends, old age. It's not for sissies. All right, so let's have a look. We have the Eight of Wands as our first card. Now, as you can see, we've got this open road in front of us. So if you've ever been on a road trip, you know how, first of all, how thrilling and exciting it is, but also how dull and dreary it is. But what happens when we see this road is we know we're making progress, we're moving, we're going somewhere. We don't necessarily always know where we're going, but we know that there is action ahead of us, there is progress. Consider we've got the Hunter tracking down our fears and our desires. The Eight of Wands is saying to you, right, to acknowledge that there is, like, every day is a different day. Every day you are different. Every day you have progressed. Every day you have moved closer towards the end of your life. Let's put it that way, you know, as dreary as that may sound. But every day is different, even though you may have the same routine and you may have the same structure in your day, but every day is different. You are different because the day before's experiences have led you or taught you stuff, or you know, you've grown, you've developed, you've processed. So we need to understand with that Eight of Wands that every day we are different to who we were before. Okay, and even though the structure may be the same, you might be the kind of person who wears a uniform every day, which means you look the same every day, you do the same things every day, but actually no, you are not the same person. The days are not the same. If things happen, the weather may be different. All right, you may feel different within yourself because of food that you've eaten. You may, you know, experiences that you've had, now suddenly you're processing life differently. We are always different. Every time you drive the same road, there are different cars around you, there are different animals around you, there are different weather conditions around you. So all the time there are changes that are happening around you. And I know as human beings we are typically afraid of change, we are typically scared of change, but the Eight of Wands is saying to you that you need to recognize that as you are progressing through life, so you are evolving, so you are shifting, so you are changing, and you are tracking something down. But do you know what it is that you are tracking? Do you know what it is that you're moving towards? And are you conscious, or are you just oblivious and going through life? And I think that's such an interesting card for us to understand, that we need to make sure that we're very mindful excuse me, we need to make sure that we are very mindful of the road that we're on, the journey that we're on, where we're heading. We need to be conscious of our journey. I think really that's the message that I want to share with you today. We need to be conscious of this road that we're walking, this journey that we're on, and you need to be conscious of where you're heading. And if it's not where you want to go, stop, adjust, re-strategize, replan, make up a new strategy and go on a different road. Just because this is the road you're on doesn't mean this is the road you have to stay on. And this is the thing with the hunter. He's saying to us, be aware of your fears and your desires. And if the road you're on is not taking you towards your desires, and if the road you're on is taking you closer to your fears, maybe it's time for an adjustment. Maybe it's time to make some changes. But you are in the driver's seat. You need to be, you should be in the driver's seat of your own life. You should be navigating the path in front of you. The embodiment of cups, okay? In traditional tarot, that would be the King of Cups. So the embodiment of cups, the King of Cups, is about control of your emotions. Now, a lot of times when we talk about being in control of your emotions, the first thing that comes to your mind is how we must stop emoting. We must stop feeling. We mustn't have emotions. And that's not what control of emotions means, not at all. Control of your emotions is just to not allow your emotions to control you. Because sometimes, and I'm going to go back, I'm going to go back to this fear and desires, because sometimes our fears, and fear is an emotion. We must remember that fear is an emotion. Sometimes we allow our fear, our emotion, to control us. We don't do things because of the fear. We don't do things because of the emotion. Desire is an emotion as well. And some people are so focused on what they desire. They desire success. They desire money. They desire happiness. They desire whatever. That is their only focus. And sometimes they chase it so much that actually everything else in their life falls apart. So the embodiment of cups is basically saying be in control of your emotions and don't allow your emotions to be in control of you. When you're driving a road that you know is leading you towards your fear, or a road that's not taking you anywhere, but you're too afraid to change, guess what? Your emotions are controlling you. You need to be the embodiment of emotions. You need to be the embodiment of cups. You need to take control of your emotions. You need to, first of all, be able to identify the emotion that you're feeling, the emotion that you're going through, the emotion that you're dealing with. And once you can acknowledge it, once you can put a name on it, label it, then suddenly it doesn't control you anymore. Suddenly you are in control of it, and you can decide what you're doing about it. When you are oblivious, or when you are numb, or when you are just not in that driver's seat and you're just allowing the emotions to control you, guess what? You're not going where you want to go. You're not achieving the things that you want to achieve. So if your life is not fantastic, it's time to hunt down your fears and your desires. It's time to acknowledge the road that you're on, and it's time to make sure that your emotions are not controlling you and that you are actually in control of them. I love synchronicity. So synchronicity is such a big thing for us, and it's something that we don't talk about enough. What is synchronicity? Synchronicity is when you just happen to be in the right place at the right time and things work out. Okay? Synchronicity is when your thing aligns with somebody else's thing to such an extent that it is just amazing and it is fabulous, and we help each other and it's amazing and it's wonderful, and all of those kind of things. Synchronicity is just, it's timing. It's timing. And sometimes we go, oh, no, that was just synchronicity. But sometimes it's orchestrated by spirit. Sometimes synchronicity isn't as synchronous as we would like to think it is. Sometimes we find ourselves dealing with problems because it's time for us to deal with problems. Okay? So we need to start looking at and understanding the synchronicity in our lives. I'm going to give you an example. Like for me, the way that synchronicity plays out for me a lot of the times, or the way that I notice it the most, let's put it that way. So for me, like if I have conversations with clients or friends or family members, and I find like it's the same topic, it's the same topic, it's the same topic, and then I'll open YouTube to go and watch something and it's the same topic. I'll open, Spotify to listen to a podcast. It's the same topic. I watch TV and there's an advert and the advert is the same topic, and I'm like, yo, what is the synchronicity here? What is the message? And once I've got the message, once I understand the message that's coming through for me, I am then able to obviously work with that message to do something valid and appropriate. And then the message disappears and we're able to move on. I notice with my clients that come to me for personal readings, I notice that there's a lot of synchronicities. Like I find I often say to them, say to people that like I have clients in batches. So I'll get like a batch of relationship problems, and then I'll get a batch of finance problems, and I'll get a batch of childhood trauma, like this week. So, and I think the reason why Spirit does that is so that I am better prepared and better capable and better able to help them. Is it synchronistic? No, it's not. It's Spirit orchestrating, bringing these people in these groups to me so that I am better equipped to help and to handle them. Okay? But if I'm not conscious of the road I'm traveling, if I'm not aware of the fears, the desires, and the emotions, how can I help? How can I be more supportive in helping people with their, in this week, childhood trauma? Okay. And then finally we have the Seven of Pentacles. So you can see we've got these hands, and these hands have got beautiful sand and plant and whatever else. We've got a spade. Seven of Pentacles is the card of patience, perseverance, persistence, okay? Patience, perseverance, and persistence. Basically, the Seven of Pentacles, you can see that he is planting this tiny little seedling. Now, I do not have green fingers. Honestly, I can kill a plastic plant. I'm terrible. I do not have green fingers at all. But I understand the concept. And the concept is that you take a seedling, you put it into the ground, you nurture it, you water it, you remove the nunus, you remove the weeds around it, whatever else. But over months, sometimes even years, this little seedling grows and grows and grows and grows until eventually it reaches its full bloom, and it brings us flowers, it brings us fruit, it brings us whatever it is that its purpose is. But it is about understanding that you take something as a seedling and you do something with it. You acknowledge your fears and your desires for this, because the fear is that it's just going to die. The desire is that it blooms and brings us, flowers and fruit and abundance and whatever else it may be. So the Seven of Pentacles is saying, though, you can't put a seed into the ground today and expect a fruit tomorrow. Like, that's me. That's my kind of gardening. But in reality, we understand that everything that we do today is a seed towards our future. So we need to understand the road that we're on. We need to understand the direction we're moving in. We need to be conscious of, is this where we want to go? Be aware of your fears and your desires, and understand, because the road that you're traveling today are the seeds that you're planting for an abundant future. So if the road you're traveling on today is not the plant, the seed, the fruit, the whatever it is that you want in the future, why are you on that road? What are you doing? What are you doing? Get off there. We need to be conscious of our emotions. We need to be aware of our emotions. We need to acknowledge our emotions so that we are in control of them and that they're not in control of you. And that is primarily around our fears. Some people won't even plant the seedling because of fear of it failing, fear of it dying. So they would rather hold it in their hands until it does die and then go, oh no, it died, as opposed to putting it in the ground and giving it a chance. So sometimes our fear of failure is the thing that actually holds us back the most. We need to understand synchronicity, because actually there isn't anything like synchronicity. Synchronicity is a word that us humans have created and developed. Synchronicity, though, when you start noticing repeat patterns, when you start noticing repeated conversations, when you start noticing synchronicities, it's about Spirit saying to you, this is something you actually have to do. This is something you actually have to do. Another example. So if you're unhappy in your job, and all of a sudden you're having conversations with friends, and they're saying how they're applying for jobs and how they're getting jobs, and then you're getting ads for recruitment agencies, and you're seeing like perfect jobs being advertised for yourself. You might think, gosh, is it just synchronicity that I'm seeing this all over the place, or is it a message from Spirit that I need to be applying for another job? Take it as the message. And then the Seven of Pentacles is saying, understand that not everything is going to shift overnight. Not everything is going to turn immediately. That the seeds you plant today, the road you're driving on today, is going to determine your future in a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time. But if you're on the wrong road now, your future is going to be wrong as well. So it's never too late to change. It's never too late to readjust. It's never too late to get onto the right road. But if you're allowing your emotions to control you, and if you're not reading the signs of synchronicity, and if you are being so afraid of failure, and if you are being impatient, things are just never going to work out the way that they need to. Gosh, friends, this is a long one today. Let's get our daily healing cards out and let's get a message. So they all have the same picture on the front, but just with different backgrounds. I am shuffling upside down. Oops, oops, oops. And these cards just have a short little inspirational message on them. So let's see, daily healing, based on what we've already said, based on what we've already covered, what inspiration guidance can you offer us today? What message of hope, what message of clarity, what message of inspiration can daily healing cards offer us? So obviously I don't want to be influenced by the pictures on the cards. So once I have finished shuffling, I am going to turn them sideways and grab from the middle where I don't, oh, that one's actually popped over. Should we take that one? Because look, that one's popped over. Should we take it? I feel like we need to take that one. So just to show you the pretty back, we've got a rose bush, really pretty, and the message is acquire gratitude for life itself. You know what? You know me, I'm such an advocate for gratitude. You all know I live my life with gratitude. Gratitude is my beginning, my middle, and my end. And I hope it's yours too, because if you don't practice gratitude in your life, you're never going to have happiness and joy. So acquire gratitude for life itself, because, and I'm going to just acquire gratitude for life itself, leave it over there. So just to put that into context here, okay? Because when you recognize your fears and your desires, when you realign yourself onto the right freeway, okay, when you take control of your emotions and when your emotions are no longer controlling you, suddenly you're going to practice gratitude. Suddenly you're going to be so grateful for the acknowledgement, the realization, the understanding that you've received from doing all of that. Then suddenly the synchronicities, when you start noticing them, you're going to be so grateful, so grateful. I noticed the synchronicities, I reacted and responded to the synchronicities, and my life is pretty great. And again, when you practice gratitude, suddenly you have more patience. Suddenly you are more perseverance. You know what I'm saying? Suddenly you are able to be more yeah, you know what I'm saying. I can't get the words out. So and when we are practicing gratitude, this becomes so much easier. So and I think this was just Spirit's synchronistic way of making sure that I mentioned gratitude, because none of this is possible. None of what you need to achieve in life is possible if you don't practice gratitude, if you are not. And you know what? Gratitude doesn't have to be this big complicated thing. Every time I have a conversation with a person and I finish the conversation, I don't even have to close my eyes, but I immediately, in my mind, in my heart, I give gratitude for that interaction. I give gratitude for the conversation, whether it was good or bad, okay? Because if it was bad, it's taught me something. I've learned something from it. I've taken something from it. If it was good, I've learned something from it. I've taken something from it. I've grown from it. So I always practice gratitude. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, this long, complicated thing. It's just, thank you. I'm so grateful for you teaching me that, showing me that, saying that, giving me that, whatever it is. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful to wake up. I'm grateful for the day ahead of me. I'm excited for the day ahead of me. When I lie in bed at night, before I go to sleep, I do my gratitude prayer, where I look at my whole day and I give gratitude for the awesome synchronistic experiences that I had that weren't actually synchronistic, and understanding the bigger picture. I give gratitude for my family. I give gratitude for the food. I give gratitude for my health. I give gratitude for everything. And what that does is it helps me to focus more on, where's my finger? To focus more on desires and less on fears, because gratitude is for what you have and not for what you don't have. So when you focus on the things that you don't have, you're focusing on fear and not on your desires. So friends, it's a long one today. I do apologize for that, but clearly this is the message that needed to come out. I do wish you the most amazing weekend, 11, 12, and 13 of October. Look after yourself. Take it easy. I am sending you all so much love and so many blessings. And until we connect again on Monday, take care.